Wakenya, Wakenya, vijana wetu Wakenya, tupiganie na vijana wetu Wakenya, Wakenya, vijana wetu Wakenya, tupiganie na wamama wetu Wakenya, Wakenya, wamama wetu Wakenya, tuwatetee na wamama wetu Wakenya, Wakenya, wamama wetu Wakenya, tuwatetee. Ole yo, yo, ole yo, yo.
The Revolutionary Gen Z movement, RGM, is not a political tool, and we reject the pretense of some leaders who believe they can dissuade the Gen Zs from demonstrating. We are not the youth wing of any political party. We do not answer to any opposition leader. Our loyalty is to the people of Kenya, especially the youth who are on the front lines, risking their lives for a better country. Our movement is driven by lived realities of young Kenyans, not by political calculations. We reject attempts by the ODM leader, the Honorable Raila Odinga, and others to pacify our movement through hollow calls for dialogue. Our demands are clear, urgent, and non-negotiable. They do not require negotiation. They require action. We also wish to alert the public to the government's alarming efforts to sponsor youth militia under the banner Youth for Ruto 2027, YR27. This group, launched on June 25th, bears disturbing similarities to the infamous YK92 that terrorized Kenyans in the early 1990s. These state-backed goons have no place in a democratic society and will not be tolerated. Their mission is to infiltrate the movement, disrupt and intimidate legitimate youth-led movements, and we will resist them with every tool of peaceful protest and civic action available to us. If the government fails to respond to our calls for justice and accountability, we shall continue to organize peaceful but powerful resistance. It is very unfortunate that the advocates working at the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions approved charges of terrorism against peaceful protesters. So those charges are malicious, ab initio, and should not have actually passed through the desk of the advocates at the office of the Directorate of Public Prosecution. Of course, the police decides what they charge you with. We have no control of that. But then we expect that there should be some reasonableness at ODPP. And that then means that the ODPP is part of, is part of this mess, sorry. At the same time, historically, it's known that should police arrest people protesting, which is actually illegal, then there are charges that people are charged with, like unlawful assembly, maybe breach of peace, or something like that. But witnessing young people who went to the streets with flags, chanting and singing patriotic songs, being charged with terrorism That is one of those things we call impunity, where people do something wrong and they tell you, "Mutati, what will you do?" They charge you with something very unreasonable, and then they tell you, "What will you do?" Because we are in this office and we are capable of charging you with anything. I would also like to probably touch on, because I think to touch on the bail terms. You see, a magistrate sitting in a courtroom should be able to understand the background of any individual that is brought before them. And this is the instance where a magistrate or any judicial officer, whether a magistrate or a judge, should be able to know if this is a student or a youth, employed or unemployed, taking care of a family, or they're on their own, and the ability to actually raise some of these bail terms. And so it's very unfortunate that in this time and age, and with the current political environment, a magistrate or a judicial officer would not understand that people brought before him are young people who went to the streets and slapped them with 100,000, 50,000 Kenya shillings as bail amount. It is also important to record that we are happy that the Law Society of Kenya sought for review of the bail terms, and that has been granted to an amount of 10,000, which still we wouldn't say is affordable, but at least better than the punitive 50,000 that had been that they had been slapped. So we condemn the act of collusion between judicial officers, the ODPP, and the police to further repression by the state. It is very unfortunate. It is unthinkable that the state can use a judicial officer as an agent of repression. We are, if you look at us keenly, all these faces have been on the streets. Some of us were on the streets on 18th of June 2024 at 8 a.m. And some of us participated even in organizing how we could get merchandise from last year and even this year. So we have been part of the uprising. We are part of the movement, and we feel this is the right time to organize, because we are not going to rely on euphoria to the very end. We have done so. We have mobilized on digital spaces. People have come out. We are still positive people will always come out. But then for us to realize positive political change, and for us to actually get the complete overhaul that we want, we must organize. And that is why we are here now organizing. Viva comrades, viva.
My name is Felix.
Yes.
It is time that change the model of protest within past 6 years now. Doesn't seem like significant change is taking place. This time, change we've had some of you say some changes are expected, but doesn't seem like those changes are taking place. So it's time about you guys change
Thank you, Felix. I think it's important to take notice of the wording we used. We said we shall continue with protest. And protest may not necessarily mean us going to the streets. We shall protest in many ways, including digitally. We are not going to, we are not going to sort of expose some of our ways or some of the plans that we have. But I can tell you, Felix, and everyone else, we are also concerned about the deaths about abductions, arbitrary arrests, the maimings, and we wouldn't want that to continue. And that is why we are trying to explore other ways through which we can protest, but still very effective and efficient. So I agree, it's time we reconsider how we do things, but that is not to mean we stop protests. Protests must continue. Martin Luther King Jr. says protest is the language of the unheard. We have done almost every other thing. We have petitioned different offices. We have even petitioned the parliament. We have petitioned different public officers. We have had engagements. We have had conversations. We have had dialogues. They have not worked.
Viva comrades, viva.
Viva.
My name is Uchieng Alam, member of the Revolutionary Gen Z Movement, RGM. I want to thank you guys, members of the press, for honoring our call and coming here. I just want to add on the all other topics which have been talked about here, that the fact that the political class, the president, and all that cabal are still blaming one another on who is organizing the demos, that means they are not getting the point that the young people are trying to communicate out there. So we want to urge them, as they continue bickering and talking about issues 2027, we, the youths of this country, are not going to be distracted by those calls. Whoever is going to blame whoever, let them continue blaming themselves. But we are not deterred. We know what we want, and that is the line we are going to, and we are not changing anytime soon. So thank you guys so much. We will